I'm Kristen.
And I'm Maddie.
We're sisters and heavy readers.
Join us every single week to talk stories, interview authors, and collab with fellow book nerds.
Welcome to the Kristen Mad Show.
Welcome back to the show, you guys. Today, we're going to do our monthly reading wrap-up and take you through absolutely everything that we read in the month of June. And we had very interesting and different months. This was our first month where we did a whole month of our TBR wheel. I felt it treated me very well.
Oh, same. The TBR wheel, me and the wheel, we're like this.
We're into each other.
We're like this. Yeah. And I think that actually some of my best reads were wheel reads this month.
Same. I also love that it provides so much variety. I love that it kind of throws a wrench in everything, so nothing feels too samesies. Although you were kind of mentioning you felt like you were missing a little bit of fantasy this month.
Yeah, I would say most of my month felt very romantic, whether it was romantasy or contemporary romance or dark romance. There was just a lot of romance and I love it. But I do think it's one of those things that I like in a dose. And I'd rather have a heavier dose in fantasy, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. I just had so much variety. And I don't know, I'm feeling like June was maybe my best reading month of the year so far.
Wow.
Yeah, I think my lowest rating was in the 3 somewhere, and it wasn't like
even horrid.
No. I think so many things were between 4 and 5. Like even the things I was rating 4, it was like 4.25, 4.5. Like
I love this. Yay. Okay, I was gonna say that I think this might be one of my worst months of the year.
I thought it might be
not as bad as January. January was like, what? Other than Fellowship of the Ring, I'm like, why did you have to exist?
Lord of the Rings pulled January up so high for me.
So it wasn't, I would say I didn't even read a lot of bad books. I just read a lot of like in the middle of the road. Like I prefer a month, I think we all do, where it's like a lot of 5-star like peak readings. And this was more like exploring different tastes, letting the wheel take the wheel. You know what I'm saying? So I read 9 books. How many books did you read?
10.
Okay. Wow. You know what's crazy, Maddie?
What?
We're now halfway through the year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I've read 49 books.
I think I'm in the 50s somewhere. I don't think I've read 60.
I think you are, because I had made my Goodreads goal 50 for the year. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I was trying to read 50 books in a year. Kristen, slow down. But I am having fun. All my reading was like good reading.
Yeah.
Except for one, and I can't wait to give you guys the tea because it's a really popular book.
I really want to get into this today because we almost started having the conversation offline and I was like, hang on, save it for the pod, sis. Save it for the pod.
Hashtag save it for the pod. We need to start saying that.
I just want to start off with From Blood and Ash. So.
Oh, okay. Very popular book. This is by Jennifer Armentrout. Maddie read this towards the very beginning of our book talk journey. So like 2023, beginning of 2023.
Yep.
This is a series. However, if you watched, we have an episode where we talk about where you can just read book 1. Maddie had put this book in that category because actually very popularly, people have been in the comments saying like book 1 is the strongest and it's just not as good afterwards. So I was planning on reading this as a standalone. And this was actually given to me from my Amazon wish list by Amanda Chambers. So literally, thank you so much. I think that this book is not for somebody who reads a lot of high fantasy, first off, and who prefers high fantasy. And for somebody who's already read a lot of romantasy, which I have, because it started feeling just like a giant formulaic trope stuffed. I don't even know what to say. It was that.
It just wasn't very original for you.
No. So I was like, is it bad? No. If somebody was brand new to romantasy and just came off of like Sarah J. Maas, I'd be like, pop this one on your TBR and read it quickly.
It's so funny because I rated it 5 stars when I read it.
Yeah.
And had such a great time with it. But I fell into that category that you just said. Yeah. I had only read A Court of Thorns and Roses and Throne of Glass in romantasy. And so
what about Serpent and the Wings of Night?
I hadn't read that yet.
See, I think I liked Carissa Broadbent's Serpent and the Wings of Night more than this one.
Okay.
And that wasn't even at the beginning of my romantasy journey.
I remember so little of From Blood and Ash, but I do remember the series going very bad. And that was my first DNF was the 3rd book of that series. What I really want to talk about though is the fact that we're also going to talk about An Ember in the Ashes today, which you were loving all month long. And in my mind, I would have lumped all of those books kind of together. I would group them together in a bookstore or like on a bookshelf,
Right.
as being very similar.
Right.
So I want to know, like, nitty gritty without
Yeah.
spoilers. What is the difference to you between An Ember in the Ashes and From Blood and Ash? Also, those titles feel very similar to me.
I know. Literally, when you start just reading, guys, I know everybody feels this way. I'm like, is there a dagger, an assassin?
Embers, ashes,
jeez,
fire.
For the love. Okay, so here's some differences. From Blood and Ash is adult. So it has full smut scenes, okay? It doesn't hold back in that category.
Okay.
I would say in An Ember in the Ashes, it is romantic, but it's YA. So it's actually a little bit more like what I prefer on screen. I mean, on page. A lot more pining, way slower burn.
Okay.
I'm trying to even remember if there is anybody sleeping together in the whole first book, which was a 4.75 for me. Just to be clear, I rated From Blood and Ash 2.75 stars. And yeah, the first book, An Ember in the Ashes by Sabaa Tahir, this was 4.75. So different when we talk about world building. What's going to happen in this, even as a YA, is you're actually going to have a world built out. There's going to be a magic system that is being discovered to you. There's going to be a larger cast of characters. I would also say that your characters are more complex. For YA, like way more complex characters.
Interesting.
Were coming out in this.
See, I remember there being some world building in From Blood and Ash, right? Because isn't she...
Oh, you have to have some. I mean, romanticy, you can't have it without any.
Yeah, like she's in a kingdom. She's like a maiden or something. She's like
she's the untouchable.
Yeah, and they're
She's
like
pure,
guards.
cannot be
There's like
touched.
something outside the walls,
Yeah.
or like there's it's built out. There's magic, right?
It's not bad for romanticy. I have just read better, and I've read too much.
So you would say Ember in the Ashes is like more complicated?
Definitely more complex. And if you think of the book as a pie, like the political part of the pie is very large. I would say An Ember in the Ashes has so much political intrigue. And it's actually way more complex than other YA books I've read. Like, it's hard for me to even consider a YA because of especially that. Lots of houses, lots of families where you're getting to know a whole family and who is the hierarchy in the family and where's their place, where are they from. The map is larger, so you're going to many different regions. I just finished book 2 as well, which is A Torch Against the Night. And that one, like, you're like in a totally different area, meeting new groups of people. Getting backstory, but also there's a part of the pie that's romance is just not that large. Like, if you look at From Blood and Ash, I would say like 78% of it is about like the pining, love, and romance, and then there's like a little bit of the other stuff.
Okay,
it's like 25-30% in An Ember in the Ashes.
Okay,
that is actually romance. There's magic, like the magic system is like constantly being unveiled and you're trying to figure it out. Like, things aren't just like revealed. Like, you have to figure it out.
Do you like the romance in From Blood and Ash? It's just too much? Or do you find like the romance cringy? Do you like the romance in Ember in the Ashes? Or
okay, so
cringy?
Yes to An Ember in the Ashes. So much yes. Also love triangle, yes.
Oh, I love a love triangle.
Yeah, and a twisted one at that. Like, nice little twisties coming.
Okay.
For YA, slightly predictable, but not really. Way more original. From Blood and Ash, I literally called every single thing that was going to happen within like the first 25 pages.
Oh, okay.
I was like, I can tell you exactly what's going to happen. I know every trope we're going to see. I know exactly who the bad guy is. I know who's lying to who. I know who's pretending to be who. And I know who the girl actually is.
Wow.
So I was just watching something play out that I already knew, which, if you're a reader who finds comfort in just kind of knowing what's going to happen, you will love that. And maybe that's why this book is so popular, or maybe it's finding them at the right time. I'm a little confused why it is so popular, actually. But in An Ember in the Ashes, I just feel like my characters are changing and evolving, and you're in their heads and you're starting to figure out like how they are making different decisions and embarrassed about decisions they've made or feeling apologetic for things they've done. It's almost like if someone's too young to read Red Rising and they want it fantasy, it feels like the fantasy YA version of Red Rising.
Wow.
Yeah.
Are you gonna
also as violent? Like, I don't know how it's YA. It is so violent. It is actually my only issue with an Ember in the Ashes series so far.
Would you let Robin read it?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So
like this is
16?
a high upper YA.
Okay. Okay.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's like rape is constantly being mentioned and threatened and attempted. Violence against children, like them being murdered, kids under 10 years old on page takes a long time, like makes me cry. It's very, very hard for me.
Oh boy.
Also just like people constantly bringing up torture, and there's many, many torture scenes. That's why book 2, the torch one, was only 4 stars, is because you go to a prison, and I just was like, this is out of control. Like you can talk about it and we can know it happened without going into so much graphic detail personally. It's just very, very uncomfortable for me. But I do understand that it creates a very emotional punch in books. But I feel like I would feel just as emotional if it was mentioned and alluded to instead of described so much. And also, I just do not like to hear about the oppression of families and children being ripped away. Like, it's kind of giving Holocaust in the fantasy realm that I'm in. So that's why I'm like, it feels like Red Rising. Like it is very high stakes, and you are losing. I sobbed in both books.
Wow.
Very emotional. So am I wrong, guys? Is this not a YA?
I think it is marketed as a YA, but that sounds like very heavy content for like teenagers.
Yes.
But so like comparing, I'm trying to think of like the things that are like the most triggering, like compared to like a Manacled or Sword of Kaigen. Do you feel like it's like as intense as those are?
I would comp it to Sword of Kaigen, but more.
Whoa.
But more. Yeah.
But it's a YA?
That's how it was sold to me. I mean, I say all of this. This is me. I just want to be super honest. Like, I will be recommending this series, but I feel like I cannot recommend it without saying like, you might want to skip pages. You might want to just check yourself. Maybe it's because I'm a mom. I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm a woman. But rape and child abuse is just like really, really hard for me to read on the page.
But you feel like for you, it was still worth it to read this series.
It's just so intriguing. It's been a long time since I've kind of felt this like, I'm just not quite sure how this is going to pan out, but I'm like here for it. So I do like it. Book 2 has felt a little bit slower, and it was heavier on the violence, I would say.
Where does this sit for you in terms of like series and stories that you love? Like, is this in your top 5 series, you think? Or I don't know. Like, after hearing you describe the triggers, I'm like, well, do you really like? But I know how highly you rated it, and you said all month it was the thing that you wanted to read the most. So I'm like,
right. It's like I don't know what it is. Those aren't the things that are making me pick it up. I think I'm picking it up because especially the characters are phenomenal. Elias might be one of my favorite young male characters, like ever. Like more complex than Kaz Brecker. Okay,
whoa.
like he's great. Helene is giving Manon, like you want to hate her, and she's trying so hard to be like the bad guy, but you're like, but I see that she is changing. So I'm like in it for her arc. Like it's just, you see this unraveling. Just really, I think those 2 characters are a strong pull for me. I love the world. I love the political, like I'm going to need to see how this pans out. I think because there's 2 more books, this is a quartet, and I've only read 2 and started book 3. I think I just have to see how it plays out. And depending on how it goes, I'll be able to tell you guys, like, is it transcendent? Is it amazing? It started on such a high. Like book 1 was nuts for me. Just nuts, full of enjoyment. Just what I want in a fantasy. And like, I don't even think I can call it a romantasy. Like romance is a part of life. So it's like in there, but that's just not even what even the pull is, even though it's good.
I think I'm going to have to read it.
Yeah, well, let me finish the last two. Let me see how it goes.
Okay.
Let me tell you if it's, a one and done, like just read book one. Yeah, I don't know. I'm really heavily entertained. But yeah, it's hard to read an Ember in the Ashes and then read Of Blood and Ash and be like, huh. Okay. All right. So if you are a From Blood and Ash fan, I love that for you. We must just have a different taste or be at a different place in our journey, and no place is ahead or behind the other. It's just like where you're at and what you're vibing with. And I just don't think I vibed with From Blood and Ash. So that's 3 of my books in one long ranty rant.
I loved it. I just was shocked because I just really thought you were going to love From Blood and Ash. So
Didn't we all?
let's talk about All Systems Red by Martha Wells.
Oh, we both read this. Yeah.
We both read this, and Murderbot has been so hyped to me for so long. I feel like I was disappointed, but I think it's just my taste. I have learned I'm just not a very cozy fantasy, cozy sci-fi person. I was so intrigued by Murderbot, the character, and this idea of this sentient robot who is a killing machine, but really just wants to watch reality TV all day. So, the idea of a socially awkward or even antisocial bot whose whole purpose is to protect humanity. The juxtaposition of it was very intriguing to me, and it kept me reading. I was also very intrigued by the TV show. We got an early screening of the Murderbot show. I loved the pilot so much.
The pilot was fantastic. It made me want to pick up the book.
It was so good. And then I felt like the book itself just didn't grip me emotionally or really intellectually. It was like an interesting premise that just didn't sink, and it had no roots or something. But I have heard that it gets better and better. So have I written the series off? No. I will just say that for how much hype and how much love the series gets, my suspicion is people love it because it's short, because it's a very quick dopamine hit, and it does do a lot in a few pages.
Did it give you dopamine? Because I got no dopamine from the book.
I think it's clever world building in that it's show don't tell, and you get a lot about what the society is like and how the economics work and what people's roles are in this society very quickly without it being explained to you. And I think Murderbot is very original, a very original character.
Sure.
But I didn't find there were no characters complicated enough to keep me intrigued. There were no characters beautiful enough to be aspirational to me. There were no stakes to keep me turning pages or reading. I never got to that point where I cared what happened. And so, yeah. And I don't really know what the themes are other than isn't this an interesting speculation to think about what it would be like in the future with these types of entities walking among us? I don't know. It lacked some substance for me to get me going, but there was nothing bad about it or offensive. It was so mid for me. It was just so nothing. It just never really. And I watched 8 episodes of the show, and I just still don't feel.
I just
anything really
embarrassed. I want to hide under a rock because I just feel like everybody who says how they love it, I feel like it's like everybody has this favorite song they like to listen to, and when I listen to it, I'm like, what? Okay. And I'm trying to dance, but I don't know the beat. I just am I want to be one of the kids.
Me too.
In the crew.
Me too.
I want to be in the crew so bad. So what I said on Patreon, because we did this for one of our page to screen book clubs in June, was I just feel like it's too soon to tell. It's so short. It's the size of a novella. So I'm or it is a novella. So it's so short. It's too soon to say. Maybe if I read 5 novellas, it would actually feel like a novel size. And I know some of the books are novel size. I believe when you get to book 5, it is. And people who have read on are oh my gosh, this is they're diehards. And I'm jelly. I'm so jealous.
Right.
I think I rated it pretty low, guys. And it's just based off of my feelings, okay? All system 3 stars.
Yeah, it's my lowest rating of the month as well, 3.25. And I think that what this has taught Kristen and I is, we care so much about our Page to Scream book club. We care so much about the sisterhood, and we invest so much time into the material that we choose for that club and engaging in good faith about all of it, the shows, the adaptations, the books. And I think what we learned with Murderbot is it's like there are just stories that honestly don't warrant that much attention and discourse. And it was like, it felt like a miss for us in the sense that I think that the books Kristen and I are looking for, good, bad, or ugly, like there needs to be a lot of meat there to discuss, like to warrant a group of people spending a month reading it and talking about it together. And there are books that and shows that we feel like have been like hits or misses at different areas. But there's always just been more to think about than there was with Murderbot. It was just vapid. It just felt like there wasn't anything there to really dive into. So
we probably should have done like 4 books.
It was a little bit of a disappointment for us, but we all learned a lot. Our club was very gracious.
Oh my
with
gosh,
us
and
they
were
with
clowning.
Us, but
some of the diehards were like, "Just stick with it." And we were like, "Okay," but then some of the other people were like, "Yeah, I straight up DNF'd," because they're like just prepping for this next month. We're doing Ship of Magic by Robin Hobb altogether, so they were like frantically reading the first Farseer trilogy, and they were like, "This is perfect because now we have more time to read." And they were like, "You guys just keep watching, and we'll just like listen to your feedback, right?" So it all worked out. Like literally, they're the best humans, and they just like are there for the fun. We do so much on Patreon, so I was like, well, we were due to have something be floppity, and if I want to flop with anybody, I want to flop with those girls
for sure. And there just are stories that lend themselves more to that kind of discussion than others.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, so 2 popular books I read this month that just like I was like,
you're
wait,
on a roll.
Excuse me, miss. Maddie, why don't you hit us with another one, because I literally started off with 3 books.
I guess we could just talk about Death of the Author by Nnedi Okorafor.
Please.
So Death of the Author was such an amazing experience for me. Talk about a book that you could probably spend several months discussing. It had so much depth. It had so much substance. There was so much subtlety to it that there were just so many different things you could explore in the book. So Death of the Author is marketed as a sci-fi, which it is to some degree, but I think it reads a lot more like a literary fiction. The majority of the book are chapters about the character Zelu. So Zelu is an American-Nigerian woman who is one of many children, and she's the daughter of Nigerian immigrants, but her mother is from one tribe and her father is from another. So there's so much to unpack in just the traditions that she is a descendant of and the things that have been inherited. As second-generation immigrants, she and her siblings are very influenced by American culture in the sense of what is success. And she has these siblings who are doctors and lawyers and engineers. And here she is, a creative. And the other wrench in the narrative is that Zelu is a paraplegic. So she's in a wheelchair. So much of the story is told from her perspective as she skyrockets to fame for writing this science fiction novel. I loved how fame was explored. I didn't really jive with Zelu, to be honest, but she was such an intriguing, fascinating, mesmerizing character that I couldn't look away. Like, I couldn't dismiss her, even though I felt differently than her and she frustrated me, and she has what I would consider to be like a pretty defensive outlook on life. But what's beautiful about the structure of the book is there's also these interlude chapters, which are interviews of her family about her, which gives insight. So when you're in her point of view chapters, you're meeting all these people and you see them from her perspective. But then when you get to be in their head and see her from their perspective, that's really insightful. Then there are whole chapters of the book that are excerpts of the novel.
So that's crazy, the amount of POVs and perspectives. What?
So you meet robots. You see the world post-humanity, where robots are now the only sentient entities left on Earth.
No shit.
I'm not joking. And they have like sections and segments and segregation between different robot entities, which is so interesting. And so AI is explored. It's just a cornucopia of thematic material. Like, you just could talk about it. It's also gripping. I think Nnedi Okorafor is just a very viscerally direct type of writer. Her style is extremely accessible, but very like potent and punchy. So I think she could honestly write anything, but she wrote this, and this is so original, and I felt like the end was profound. It was such a brilliant ending. So
I love that I was in the room, guys. I was in the room when she finished this book because I was writing a review, and she's just over there like facing her book, and it's just like, you know when it's good. And I'm always nervous. I'm like, I don't know if I want to be in the room when Maddie's finishing a book, because if it doesn't land, she's throwing the book. But that's so great to hear.
I just like closed it, eyes huge, and was just like, wow. So I rated it a 4.5. I think it was a nearly perfect book. My only complaint with it was a short-ish section, probably around the 75% mark, that I think dragged a little bit. And I would just like put that out as a caveat for anyone who's going to pick it up, is it's like, I think there's a moment where you have doubts. Like, where's this going? Was this all worth it?
Okay.
But it's an unwarranted fear, but it is there. Something in the pacing does something at that part of the book. And I remember actually feeling the exact same way about the book Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow.
Yes.
By Gabrielle Zevin. There was like that moment where like, wait.
And you comped it to that.
I don't feel like they're similar books, but they gave me similar feelings, and they had a very similar like trajectory in some ways.
Both
I enjoy them.
Uppers then. They're not necessarily like you read them to feel awesome.
They're not uppers, but they're so optimistic in their themes at the end. So
like a redemptive theme.
They're both beautiful. And I think I like them the same amount. So yeah,
What?
they're like both near perfect books.
Oh my
for
gosh. I thought Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow is like get it a tattoo. Like,
I also feel like they're the type of books that you love better and better and better the longer you sit with them. And I love a book like that. It's like when you're reading it, you might experience those like, oh, I'm not really jiving with this character, or like, where is this going? Like, can I trust this author? Like, what's happening? And then I think a book that does exactly what it sets out to do, and you can feel all of the intention behind it at the end, then the longer you sit with it, the more you're just like, God, that one's good. Like it stands out in your memory. You won't forget that you read it. You won't forget to talk about it with people. And both of those books are like that. So I loved Death of the Author. I also think it would be fun for a lot of readers. Now, like if you're deep in your fantasy bag, or you really love romance, this probably isn't going to be for you. But if you love sci-fi, if you love any kind of speculative fiction, if you love literary fiction, if you enjoy like the modern classic, if you really love like a thinker and a feeler book, this is great. And it's
That'd
original.
be your bag.
It won't feel like anything else you've read. It'll be like a breath of fresh air.
well, that is actually on my shelf.
Heyo.
But I didn't pick it up because I was waiting to hear your review.
I think that you'll love it. But I think you'll go in with the right expectations.
Okay, right,
Yeah.
right. Speaking of books that you sit with it and you think about it more, I want to hear you talk about Picnic at Hanging Rock.
Yes, because you're like on the fence about whether you want to read it.
Well, because like, yes, between you and Mom, you guys have both like talked about it.
Okay, here's the thing about Picnic at Hanging Rock. This is by Joan Lindsay. This is a classic, and my wheel also picked this for me. So like, talk about variety.
Holy variety.
Okay, Picnic at Hanging Rock is a short classic you can bite off, and it's like you could take it down in a day. And
Maddie could.
my mom also read it.
Could the average human?
Yeah, it's short.
Okay.
It's short, and it's pretty.
right.
It's pretty accessible language. It takes place at the turn of the century in Australia, so like 1900.
Okay, setting.
Like they're still using like horse-drawn carriages, but like it is like right before,
the
cars.
Industrial Revolution.
Yeah. So like the language isn't that archaic. It's pretty accessible. So the thing about Picnic at Hanging Rock is it's literally a group of girls at a all-girls boarding school, and at the beginning of the book they go off on this picnic at Hanging Rock. It's this like cliffside beautiful retreat area. It's like 3 hours carriage ride away from their school, so it's going to be like an all-day trip.
Cute.
While they're there, 3 of the girls decide to kind of like leave the picnic grounds. They've all eaten, and they're like, we just want to explore a little bit before we all head home.
Don't do it.
and they never come back.
Ah.
So everybody goes back to the school. They're like, the girls are missing. And so the rest of the book is kind of like the aftermath and the fallout of like what happens to this community as they like start the search for these girls, what happened to them, like what's going on. And I think thematically the book is actually a lot about like reputation and marketing. And so like the head woman of this boarding school has come from England, I think. And it's kind of like stated in the beginning that like she doesn't really actually have the credentials to be a headmistress of a school, but she has money and she buys this like really gaudy abandoned mansion in Australia and is like, this is perfect for a boarding school. So she kind of like markets it to the families as like, this is going to be a very like prestigious boarding
posh
school. But she doesn't actually like doesn't have the credentials.
So she is like spinning this horrible thing that happened to be like in her favor.
Well, no, like how can you spin it? No, she's trying to like hush it up. She's trying to like, and then she kind of like, I mean, it absolutely unravels her that this happens on her watch. But then it's like there's the staff members and how it's affecting them. And then there's the other students and how it's affecting them. And then there was this kind of neighboring rich family who was also picnicking at Hanging Rock that day. So then when they hear about it, they were like, we literally saw them like 2 seconds before they went missing. So then they're like, they like are hung up on it. They like can't let it go.
See, this is what I'm saying. I feel like it could scratch a little itch I have in my brain. I don't know if you guys who are listening feel this way, but I love a like whodunit.
Yeah.
I love a like mystery. But what drives me up the wall, you should just set people up for expectations.
Yeah. It isn't ambiguous. Okay, so okay, I should have started with this, but Picnic at Hanging Rock is this like cultural phenomenon, especially in Australia. It has a film adaptation, and the author Joan Lindsay like came to the set, right, and was literally calling the actors by their character names, and people like couldn't tell if she was crazy or like, and no one could really ever tell whether it was fact or fiction, like whether this really happened and was based on true events or not. And Joan Lindsay like never gave up the ghost. Like she kind of fed into this speculation, and then she wrote the last chapter of the book which explains what happened to the girls, and never released it. Like they published the book without the last chapter, so it's this ambiguous ending, and then after she died they let them release the chapter.
Oh my gosh, so what a kooky cat.
It's just steeped in mystery. Like it's just like this kind of iconic story / is it real? And like that's like all of the conspiracy that's wrapped up in Picnic at Hanging Rock. So it's kind of like the fandom's kind of interesting, and there's like message boards and theories online. Oh my gosh,
I could deep dive just online, like go down the rabbit hole of like I want to read her ending. I want to see if there's interviews with her. Like I want to like
this is what our
watch
mom did.
The movie. Yes, and I must get this from mom, where I'm just like more. I need more.
I think it could be the kind of thing that you could just like really nerd out on. I enjoyed the novel for what it was, and I enjoy a classic that doesn't like stump me and make me feel stupid, which this one didn't. It was like I could just enjoy it for what it was.
You're never stupid, you silly goose.
Sometimes classics make me feel real dumb.
Well, imagine how I feel.
I think I rated it like not crazy high or crazy low. It's just kind of like in the middle. I gave it a 3.75.
Okay.
And so I recommend it. I definitely recommend it for people who want to check out classics and who like are intrigued by that premise.
I think people watching this or listening are going to read it now.
Yeah, it was a fun time. It's like a cool thing to just like be in the know about. Like I think it's like when people mention Picnic, like, you know, Picnic at Hanging Rock, you're like, oh yeah.
I mean, I've never heard somebody say that, but I'm going to start saying it.
I think it's there's people who are in the know about it.
Okay. Well, I literally love that. I'm going to share one now. I think I want to talk about Summer in the City.
Yes.
Summer in the City is a contemporary romance. It came out super recently. This was gifted to Maddie and I. Alex Aster is the author.
Which we just found out she's a romantasy author.
Yeah, she did Light Lark.
Yeah. Which we have not read.
So somebody commented on my review of this and said, is the writing better than her other series? And I was like, oh. So I'm just here to like answer the questions. I did not think the writing was bad at all. this is an almost perfect summer read. Like, so romantic. Your setting is mostly New York City, but there are moments in Paris, LA, Italy. So the setting is like a huge sell for me. But also, if you like 90s rom-coms, this feels like a played out 90s rom-com, which for me is like nostalgic. It's cozy. The setup is our main character, Elle, is a screenwriter, and she's had success, and she has a deadline, and she needs to write another screenplay. And she is going to New York, which is going to be the setting of her screenplay. Her boss has asked her to do this, and she is staying in her sister's empty apartment, which is like a super duper fancy, wealthy apartment. Okay. Like, it's not hers. She's going to stay there, but it's almost empty. She writes under a fake name because she's very private. And you kind of find that out through the book why, but she's an incredibly private person. So she literally just like gives slob girl vibes. Like, I'm just like a frantic writer, but she's feeling really stunted, and she doesn't really like New York, and you don't know why. Well, she also has a neighbor. They have the whole floor of this like building for their 2 apartments. She has this neighbor who is a billionaire bachelor, and as soon as she bumps into him, she recognizes him because back in the day, she had like a club makeout moment with this man, and they had like parted ways.
Oh.
So she's like, he doesn't remember me, but I remember him. And she had left him at the club because she had like a nasty taste in her mouth. So it's kind of like an enemies to lovers. He doesn't know why she's like being a total bitch to him. And she's like, I don't see why you keep trying to hang out with me. Well, he ends up spending the summer hanging out with her because he needs a fake girlfriend to keep the press away from him because they're like hounding him as this billionaire bachelor. He's trying to sell his company, and she's trying to write. And for some reason, when she's with him, she gets a lot of inspiration. So it's cutie. Like, it's a cutie setup. He is her muse. They literally say that.
Oh.
But the best part of this book is Parker, the billionaire, is the man of all of our wet dreams. I'm not even playing. Okay. He is so thoughtful. Like, in the book, I'm like, what? He's so thoughtful. He's so generous. He's so funny. He's always looking to bring like humor to her. He's supportive of her. And I'm obsessed with him. Like, I can't even, it's so unrealistic. Like, literally the most unrealistic things you could ever imagine people doing with money. Alex Aster thought it up in this book. And I appreciate the creativity, girl. Thank you for expanding my mind of what money can bring. However, I will let you know, the main character, Elle, is the most annoying woman I have ever read. And I've read a lot. I have a lot of trouble with a lot of female main characters. She's so annoying. And what bothers me even more is like, if he was kind of annoying or was doing things bad, I'd be like, but they like deserve each other. She does not deserve him. No, he is so sweet. And then she like, people do this. If you do this, don't do this. I hate when this happens. Somebody does something nice and they do it from a good place. And then somehow, because you are so like narcissistic and such a negative Nelly, you like twist it, because you can twist anything for good or evil, but she will always twist it and look at him and make him feel so bad and belittle him. And I'm like, listen, maybe I'm projecting for myself, but I do everything from a good place. And then whenever people take it the wrong way, I'm like, wait, how did you do that? Like, I didn't even see that as a possible scenario. Like, I was just doing that, like, to be kind and generous. And people are just like, how dare you? Like, oh my God, I cannot stand it. So please read this book if you want a contemporary romance. It is so good. Such a great summer read. But just know, like, we're not besties, me and Elle. No, we're not. And I wish Parker would give me a call.
Wow.
That's how I feel about that book.
I mean,
He said, wow.
Wow. I think it would be so interesting to do our bracket of contemporary romance FMCs and just try to decide who the worst one is, because clearly you really didn't like her.
No.
But
we've talked about this too, guys, not to get too deep, but I'm wondering why women can write men so well, but women, I feel, struggle to create women that I like. Why are we so good at knowing what we want in a partner, but we're not very good at knowing who we want to be for the partner?
Ooh, insightful.
I don't know. Maybe disagree with me. Maybe that's just my POV.
I mean, I agree with you. It's like, the thing that turns me off of contemporary romance. I tell you what, it's not the spice. I enjoy a spicy little story.
That's very real. Yeah.
Anyways,
it's a hard one. It's a hard
well,
one.
I felt the exact same way about Flock because
we should talk about Flock.
I dipped into Flock this month, which has been on my TBR for ages.
By Kate Stewart.
And I like a little bit, if I'm going to read contemporary romance, I do tend to like a little bit of dark romance.
Surprise, surprise.
Yes. I went through a phase where I read a lot of it and I think I kind of burnt out on it. But Kristen was reminding me as she picked it up that she's like, it's giving a little bit dark. Like the dudes in the book are definitely kind of these vigilante types.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, this I might be in the mood for this.
Yeah.
So I picked it up and lo and behold, I really enjoyed the male main characters. Mm-hmm. And then Cecilia, the FMC, I'm struggling with. She's not the worst. Like if we did a bracket episode of FMCs, she's not the worst at all.
No, Cece is not the worst.
No, but is that her name? I thought it was Cecilia.
Yeah, but they call her Cece.
Oh, okay. Yeah, she's not the worst.
Come on, Maddie.
But she doesn't feel.
She's very young.
That's true.
In Flock, she's very young. And I read the second book, Exodus, as well. So I read both this month. And I will say I do like her as she gets older.
Okay.
But also sometimes you can forgive people when they're young more.
Yeah,
when they're older and they're doing stuff you don't like, you're like, come on now, you're grown.
Yeah. I forgot. She's like 18 in the book.
Yeah, she's super. And I think the men are older than her. It's kind of like Sons of Anarchy, but instead of them being like a biker gang, they have like old cars. And
I will say this is what I liked about it for contemporary romance. And Chris, we just have to dish about this for a little bit because Kristen and I don't get to chat that much about romance on the channel because we don't read that much of it. But so when we pick it up, I feel like we both have a lot of thoughts.
We have thoughts.
Yeah.
We have notes.
So when it comes to a story like this, it's very much a lust to love dynamic.
Love it. Great.
And for me, it's like there's something refreshing about a story that just like knows what it is and is it unapologetically. So in this scenario, she's 18. She moves to a new town. She goes to a party that night with a coworker. She's feeling him. He's feeling her. They're making eyes. There's a little bit of tension and banter, but we can all see where this is going. They know where this is going. They're only teasing each other. There is none of this like friends to lovers or enemies to lovers or we're not talking about love. We're literally like, she's like, I'm here temporarily. I never really got to have a wild phase. I've been, the responsible daughter,
the mother of my mother
for a long time. I've never really gotten to have a wild phase. My best friend's at home and, she and I are going to be basically talking on the phone for the next year. So I don't really have anybody. And this just might be my time. It just might be my time to stop being a wallflower and just like see what's out there. And that's what she does. Like she just goes and hooks up and it's a great time. And
the book is marketed that way. And that's what it is.
And that's what it is.
Thank you.
And they like catch feelings like you do, which feels realistic, but
it's lust first.
It's a lust to love situation. And it's kind of polyamorous. And even that part of it is like kind of explored and dealt with from the perspective of someone who doesn't know they're polyamorous. And so I think it was just like enough to keep me hooked. It was like, it knew what it was. It wasn't trying to be anything else. And I think if she had been a little bit older and a little bit more likable to me, I think it would have knocked it out of the park.
Okay, so the ending, Maddie, I mean, this is no spoilers, but the ending where you're like, okay.
Oh, I was like, well, I'm in for book 2. I'll be honest with you. Like,
all you had to say was Frenchman, and you say, okay. Jump how high?
How high? Yeah, I also don't find it to be super toxic, which usually dark romance is pretty toxic. This is just dark romance in the sense that they're vigilantes.
Yeah, like, no one's like stalking anybody, or at least too heavily.
Yeah, it's very not hunting Adeline. No. It's not like non-consensual stuff going on. There's no like violence play happening. I guess some people wouldn't even really call it dark.
Oh my gosh, and one of our boys is totally giving like golden retriever energy. So even though it's like a darker romance, like there's some soft energy. If any of you guys followed me during my Zodiac Academy Ruthless Boys journey, I literally feel like I could comp this to Ruthless Boys, but take it out of the fantasy realm and better.
Well, hey-o.
Like it's like the dark boys, the troop, multiple love interests, twisted people are keeping secrets from each other, and there's like a plot, and there's like more plot in book 2, I would say, in Exodus. But not the plot isn't like, it's not like a super plot heavy book.
Sure.
It is what it is. It is a dark romance, and it is very hot chili peppers for me.
Yeah. I felt like the spice wasn't cringy, which I appreciated.
Yeah.
Because that can also be a factor. But
Yep, no cringe. No.
yeah, it wasn't cringy.
But she's a little difficult.
My criticism is her. But I will say, this is one of those like cotton candy, heavy dopamine books that like I don't want to get hooked on them, but like it's just fun now and then. Like it does keep you up at night. Like I definitely stayed up late reading it. Definitely woke up early to finish it. Like it was one of those types where it's like you just kind of like, you don't want to stretch it out. Like, you just want to know what happens.
The way you feel, this is why I watch Love Island, just so you know.
Okay, I get it.
Same thing.
Same pathway in the brain.
Same thing.
Love it.
Same thing. So book 2 is Exodus, and it's going to, she is older, and there's also a little bit of a time change, and I would say it's more on the plot. I think I like it better only because I really, really like the Frenchman who is introduced, and Maddie, you are going to be feral for him.
I think that it's like scratching the same itch for me as like Gossip Girl, Vampire Diaries, Pretty Little Liars, all those shows I was obsessed with when they were airing. And I've heard they're going to make this into a show.
Oh, I'm so excited.
So like that appeals to me more than like reality TV, like a Love Island for me personally.
Yeah.
Like I do kind of like it to be more of like a fictional fantasy.
Yeah, you're way less reality TV.
So
that's Tea Guys, a show.
I'm pretty excited potentially about this show. Depends on how YA they make the show versus how adult. But I mean, the book is pretty adult. Yeah. So.
Okay, let's stay in the same vein and let's talk about Emma, which is also a romance. Emma by Jane Austen.
Very different. So spicy.
Emma was an absolute hit with the book club. So even though Murderbot did not quite live up to the expectations, Emma exceeded all expectations. I think this was just an absolute treat. And we did it with our mom.
Yeah, I loved doing it with mom. Yeah. And I get something new every single time I read a Jane Austen book. This one, I think, was so fun to just recognize that this is a book Jane wrote about someone in the elite circle, like more about an aristocrat rather than normally her heroines are kind of aiming high, trying to like improve their station in life. Whereas like Emma's set, like she literally doesn't even need to get married because she already has her inheritance coming to her.
More money than Mr. Darcy.
Literally more money than Mr. Darcy and her dowry. So I love just recognizing, oh, this was Jane jumping into the opposite side and focusing more on like the vanity of the elite and how that can be tempered. And I just think it's a story of like learning those pitfalls of vanity, and it's really sweet. And I love Mr. Knightley. I think he's one of her best men. I will say Sense and Sensibility is still my favorite. I rated Emma a 4.25. And I mean, Sense and Sensibility is 5 stars, perfection for me. So.
Maddie, I literally gave it 5 stars because here's the thing.
Yes, I love this.
Because setting, 5 star.
Yep.
Characters, 5 star. Plot, 5 star. Personal enjoyment, infinity stars. And emotionally, I think Emma's strong suit is really this journey you go on with Emma that's low-key painful and awkward and uncomfortable at times. And you just are so proud of her at the end when you see like human growth and development. I think that that's a very satisfying part of books for me, is that I don't care if a character's annoying in the beginning. I don't care if my characters are flawed and make mistakes. I do those things. I am annoying. I have grown and changed. But if I can see that by the end, like I feel so much love and appreciation for Jane Austen's books, because she and her ability to do a character study, it's so good.
It is
It's so
emotional. I think it is very funny. Emma is super funny.
Cheeky, yes.
And yes, her missteps are so cringe that yes, it's like a visceral, emotional read.
I want to look away, but I'm reading, so I'm like this.
I think
like it's so uncomfortable.
I think it's just because Sense and Sensibility exists, and I love that one
Sense
so
and
much.
Sensibility is the bar.
Yeah.
I do like Sense and Sensibility more, but I also think Sense and Sensibility is really special to us because of the sister relationship.
Yes, you're probably right.
Like if Emma had a sister relationship, we might feel different.
We might, yeah.
Right. Yeah. There's like more annoying characters in Emma. Like in general, many of them are like insufferable.
Yeah. Emma's sister is so insufferable. And honestly, so is Knightley's brother.
And Mrs. Bates is annoying. And then Harriet, you're like, oh my immaturity days.
Mrs. Elton.
Oh my gosh. But I think beautiful story. And we watched both adaptations, which also just always enhances. Our page to screen is so fantastic because it's like we get to read these books and then we get to see them play out.
And I thought I would be a diehard Gwyneth Paltrow adaptation.
Right? We were raised on it.
But I loved the Anya Taylor-Joy.
Oh, I want to watch it again.
From 2020.
Okay, so that's Emma, guys.
Okay, I can run through a couple of my other wheel books pretty quickly.
Don't even run. Don't even jog. Just walk through it.
We'll just go through it. I just really want to talk about the perks of being a wallflower.
I added this to my TBR because of you.
This is by Stephen Chbosky, I think is how you say his last name. Chbosky. Chewbacca. Anyways, I loved this book. Mm-hmm. I loved this book so much. I had already seen the film, which was adapted by the author, so it's a very close adaptation, and I love the film. It's probably in some of my top films of all time.
Can we watch it together after I've read?
Okay. Yes. We'll I really want to rewatch it. It's so good. I just love the style of this book. It's written in letters. It's an epistemology, and it's a series of letters written by Charlie in his freshman year of high school. And he just writes to his friend, and he just processes what it is to come of age. And it's very nostalgic because it's like, you know, it's in the 90s.
And we've all been freshmen before.
Yeah. And I think it's just a story, honestly, about the human experience of rejection, both giving it and receiving it, and supporting people who are experiencing it, and, you know, loving and hating people who are giving it. And it's just this, like, as human beings try to process what it is to connect with other human beings and build actual relationships, there's also this, like, inevitable part of it that's, like, not choosing people. And
that's intense.
For all the reasons we do that, you know, like positive and negative. And I think there's also like this experience of having been in a family, like a nucleic family, maybe with siblings and parents.
What's nucleic?
Like the nucleus of a cell. Like you're like in this little nucleus with your family.
I like that. Nucleic. Okay.
So you're like in this pod with your family, and then you start to experience this world of people that you choose. And what that's like.
Yeah.
And I just think it's really innocently captured. Charlie doesn't end up having an innocent experience. Like he has a very adult experience, but his perspective is one of innocence. And so that is so refreshing. And it's such a hopeful but also painful story. And it just makes you feel everything. It's just like, it is just kind of like an iconic pop cultural type of story. I think everyone could read it. It gives me Breakfast Club vibes, like that movie, The Breakfast Club. It's just like that super brutal but beautiful time of life when it's just like, God, it's so painful to go through the metamorphosis of going from being a child to being a baby adult, but everybody does it, and it's such a relatable story, and I loved it. So I gave The Perks of Being a Wallflower 4.5 stars, and I cried, and I love it. I will reread it again and again.
Maddie, I just love this for you so much, and it feels like a book that I think is important, and I think it means a lot to you for like the art that you read to feel like it means something.
Oh yeah, like I will give it to my teens.
Such a hit for you. Yeah. Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
I will say it hit me in an interesting place in my feelings, because it wasn't just nostalgic for my own experience, but because I'm raising tiny humans who are going to experience this. It was like, oh dear God. But you know what? It gave me a lot of just like good reminders about the fact that as a parent, like I don't actually want to save my kids from these experiences. Like
you kind of got to watch that train wreck, you know?
Yeah. And just, you gotta watch it. Like those trenches are where we're fucking formed. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I want my kids to get those scars and figure out what it is to be a human being in a world where rejection is a real thing, because it has to be for acceptance to be a real thing, to find a real sense of home and belonging outside of this home that I built for them, which is all I want for them, is to go out into the world and find a place of home and belonging. And really, I just want them to find their home and belonging in their own souls, to come home to themselves. And they can't do that unless they feel that emptiness of losing their home with me and going and exploring home with someone else. And it's like, or other people. And so it's like, they're going to experience that. They're going to face rejection. There's going to be scars. There's going to be missteps. There's going to be awkwardness and frustration and confusion and all of that. And like, that is where they're made. That is their place of becoming. So I don't want to save them from it, but boy, it's an intense forging process. Yeah. But I'm here for it now. I'm like, okay. All right.
Oh, I need to read this stat. I have a middle schooler going into 7th grade, and I'm already like, ooh.
Robin might really like it in a year or two.
No, I think so too, because she's a little tortured artist. So I can absolutely see this. I just love too that this book was read in high school by our eldest brother, C-Ray. Some of you guys might have seen him on the channel before. He's awesome. But that it hit for him too, like when books are good at different ages and maybe would even read different to you. Jane Austen has that power, Perks of being the Wallflower. Yeah. I just love when we get to recommend these books to you guys. I love when Maddie recs them to me because, it'll be good again when we have grandkids. Okay, what about Saga? Like, I think everybody needs to know about your first ever graphic novel with a breastfeeding mother on the front.
It has a breastfeeding mommy fairy on the front. So Saga is the story, literally the first page is her giving birth. So it's the story of this man and woman, a fairy and I don't know what his species is, but basically
we don't know what he is.
They're on opposite sides of a galactic war. And he was in prison and she was his guard, I think, and they ended up falling in love and escaping. So now they're like fugitives of both sides. Like they've both defected and now they have a baby, which means like they've like combined their genetics, and these are like two species that don't really mingle. And so they're just trying to save their baby and they're being hunted by bounty hunters on both sides. Like that's the story.
Stop.
So it's very gripping. It's very fast paced. It's a beautiful medium. Like I really enjoy the graphic novel medium. All I'll say about Saga Volume 1 is it's just like very incomplete. It's very much like an introduction. So it's like I can't really like review Saga as a sweeping epic yet because I literally feel like I've read the introduction.
Wait, how many are there? Do you know?
I have no idea how many volumes there are.
We need to look this up.
Yeah. But I could see myself like throwing it in here and there because literally you can take down a volume in an hour. I might just go get them from the library. I don't know that I need to like own them. And there are like, I'll just be frank, some like pornographic type imagery in there. It's like very adult.
Don't want the kids to
so
find
I
out.
don't want my kids to find, and my kids are very into comic books and graphic novels. So I don't want them to be like, oh, let's check out mom's comic books. What is this? Like, sweetheart, that is a cartoon penis. Anyways.
Not the cartoon penis.
Also,
okay, after this episode, I might need to look.
Spider Woman who's just like topless. Very intriguing. Very interesting.
Okay. Is it just me though, or are comic art very explicit?
I don't know, because this is like my first foray.
Because my kids are reading One Piece, which a bunch of our friends love. And these girls, the racks on these girls.
Why not make them bigger if you can draw them bigger?
Wow, this is a new realm. They're trying to talk me into it.
Now we understand the appeal for the teenage boys.
No, they read it for the plot, Maddie.
Right. So anyways, I had a good time. I'm glad I was exposed to it, but I don't have like a whole lot more to say other than like intriguing premise. Like it definitely hooked me. And then
what about Adrienne Young?
Adrienne Young was my last wheel book, A Sea of Unspoken Things.
It's her newest release, correct?
Her newest release, and I felt like it was very similar to Spells for Forgetting at first. Yeah. And I was like, uh-oh, are we getting into like formula writing here? Uh-oh. But
what?
It wasn't, though. It wasn't.
That's our thumbnail, please. Okay, so you were worried it was going to be formulaic.
It wasn't.
Okay.
It wasn't. It ended up being my second favorite of the three I've read. So I would still say The Unmaking of June Farrow is my favorite, and then A Sea of Unspoken Things, and then Spells for Forgetting. I think all of them should be read in spooky season. I think they're all vibey books, and I think that what Adrienne is providing to the reader community that we all love and appreciate is this fun like genre blend of like the spooky mystery and the creepy atmosphere and like the kind of serious high stakes with very adult, mature romances.
Yeah.
And I think that's great. I loved it. I loved the romance in this. I especially liked her broody man in this.
Thank you,
And
broody.
yeah, I just like that kind of combination. It's like what you were saying about romantasy. Like it's fun when a fantasy romance has kind of like, what did you say? Like 70% of the pie is kind of everything that's not the romance, but then you do still get like a good chunk of romance in it. I think that's kind of what Adrienne Young does in the contemporary space. It's like you've got this whole interesting plot that kind of stands on its own, but you do kind of have this substantial romance at the heart of the character arcs, and I love it. And there's always like some kind of, I feel like she always explores some kind of healing
Yes, she does.
arc in her romances, which I think makes them like that much sweeter and feel that much more triumphant. Like you want them to get together, not just because you like, because they're hot and you want to see them bang, although that's nice, but like it's, you also feel like these characters kind of overcome something in coming together, and that's really satisfying. So I love that one too.
Okay, I'm very intrigued. Do you only have your best books left?
Yes, so you should talk about Fairytale.
Okay. Fairytale by Stephen King was so much better than I even thought it was going to be. Stephen King hasn't written a lot of fantasy from what I've seen, but this one was a huge hit for me. Some people have complained that this is like 2 books in one.
That is what I have seen. Yeah.
Okay, so like the first half is like not fantasyful, and then the second half really is in a very fairy tale way. So if you like old school fairy tales, but put a really dark twist on it, very thriller, little horror.
It kind of is giving like, to me, when I hear you describe it, it's kind of giving like a creepy Jack and the Beanstalk.
Yes. I think it is masterful work. Masterful.
Kristen is becoming a Stephen King person.
All
She's
I
like
want to
his
do,
biggest fan.
Yeah, all I want to do is throw out my entire physical TBR and fill it with Stephen King books.
She just wants a TBR wheel of Stephen King
like,
only.
I'm like, if this is the quality of books that is available to me to enjoy, what am I doing reading anything else? And I'm not saying this to be like overselling. I don't think I'm overselling. Like his writing quality, his creativity, his like ability to make a long book feel not long enough because you are just having such a great time.
He is very good at the art of the grip.
Yes.
Like he just
consistently.
Yeah. Like you just kind of feel invested.
Yes.
And then you never stop feeling invested.
No, I am like a diehard. I had to look up. I was like, how many books does he have? Like, how many years of enjoyment do I have? He has 65.
Watch you like wade into his horror and get to the point where you actually maybe kind of are a horror person.
Everybody has told me that the horror is way less than all of his film adaptations. So every like scary, even It, which is like the scary clown one, they're like, it's actually about the people in the town. And like, yes, there is a clown and like they have to like work together to get rid of this horrible, crazy person. So it's not like a premise I love, but I'm like, okay, so it's not the movie, which is just like a slasher.
Right.
Right?
I mean, I will say The Shining and The Shawshank Redemption are 2 of my favorite films of all time. So I definitely want to read those books.
And I've heard that both of them are better as books, and we like loved the movies.
We love those
so
films.
I'm going to save spooky season is going to get The Shining.
Do we need to do that with the Patreon with our book to screen book club in spooky season? Do we need to pick one of the slightly creepier Stephen Kings and do another Stephen King?
The problem is spooky season is literally not long enough because I also want to do like all of the Jane Eyre.
Yes.
So bad.
Like we want to do the Gothic.
We'll just have to start in August. We're like, spooky season's here. All I can say is
we're just going to extend spooky season from August to December.
Yeah, like for why not? Why not? What I am going to say is from 11/22/63, which we read last month, and now Fairytale, between the both, they are very different, but both were complete hits for me. So I've been fighting my brain, like if I were to tell people, like gun to my head, which one's my favorite, I don't even think I could tell you. They're just so different. But absolute class. Stephen King, bruh. I did a puzzle yesterday with all authors on it. Stephen King was on it. I did him first. I said, you are my man.
Wow.
I love his
Not
writing.
the puzzle preferences.
The puzzling, yes. Nnedi, that's how I do all my audiobooks. Can you guys see my leg hair? I'm going to put my legs down.
Oh, love it. Well, the only thing I have left to talk about is The Wheel of Time.
Heyo.
And all I can tell you, I will keep it brief because I'm going to create some significant Wheel of Time content for you all.
We're going to do a lot of content.
Yeah.
Remember when our camera died?
Yeah, that was great.
Let's talk about the Wheel of Time.
Okay. So in June, I read books 11, 12, and 13.
Oy, oy, oy.
Yes. And book 11 is the last book that Robert Jordan wrote before he died. And I would say it came back a bit from the slog for me, and it felt like things were progressing and moving towards an ultimate setup. So I was quite pleased with it. I think I rated it like a 3.5. And after coming out of the slog, I was in a much better mood with it. And I was just so excited and ready to get to the books that Brandon Sanderson finished. So then I picked up book 12, The Gathering Storm. And wow, I think it might be my second favorite Brandon Sanderson book ever. So if you take all of the raw materials of what I love about the Wheel of Time, it's this magic system that is complicated and social, and it deals with a masculine side of the energy and a feminine side of the energy and a corrupt arc and a non-corrupt arc, and it's a very creative magic system in the sense that like wielders can create their own weaves and do unique things. So it's like it's an ever evolving magic system. It's not fixed. And so you take that and you take this complicated world with all of these different factions who are, you know, politically engaged with one another. And then you take like the natural problems with this world, like that there's a blight and there's weird weather and all of these things. You take that and you give it to a writer like Brandon Sanderson, who is notorious for being amazing at endings, an amazing closer. Yeah. And he has a very accessible, direct writing style. It's not flowery, it's not poetic, it's not complicated. He just like says what's happening. Very clear, very concise. He's also pretty good, I would say, at inner character moments. I wouldn't say it's always the most like nuanced of character interactions, but you definitely get character interactions that create emotional charge.
Okay.
So you take all of that and you've got a masterpiece. The Gathering Storm was a 5-star book. It's so good. Oh. It is so good. It took Egwene, who was potentially like the most mid character I had ever read, and has moved her into the upper echelons of like potentially one of my favorite female characters of all time.
That's wild.
Crazy.
Wow.
Rand, the main male character, has this really pivotal and thematic moment at the end of the book, and I have been waiting for 12 books for this series to give me something that I can sink my teeth into from a thematic point of view, and we got it. It was great. The interesting thing about the Wheel of Time is that for most of this series, I have wanted the wheel to break. So this image of the wheel is that time repeats itself in this cyclical pattern, and so much so that there are people who have had past lives that they cannot remember, and so they come back. Crazy. They come back into the wheel, right? They get another chance at this thing. But the problem with the turning of the wheel and with these ages that come and go is that they're always fighting the Dark One. They have yet to ever defeat him. And so for me, when I was reading this, you know, I'm coming very much from a Lord of the Rings background, and I'm like, we have got to defeat the Dark One once and for all. I want to break this fucking wheel. I want to end this toxic cycle. I want it to be over. But what's so interesting now, as Brandon is tying this up, and I'm sure this was conceptualized by Robert Jordan, but it was just never really fleshed out by him, is this idea that it's not a toxic cycle. It's a evolving thing where even if you can somehow defeat like the concentration of evil in a being, evil exists. It just like goodness exists, and evil exists in all of us, and we all have a shadow, and all any of us want when we accept forgiveness and get a second chance is to do better next time, right? And so the idea of reincarnation, or the idea of getting a whole nother life in a whole new age to grapple with the darkness, is this idea that like that is a worthy battle. Like that is a worthy goal, and we do get better at it. And really no one is damned by the mistakes that they make in any given life. Like you might get this second, third, fourth, fifth chance, and potentially we're bringing the world collectively to a better place. And so like to sink my teeth into those themes, I was like, oh wait, do I like this? Do I really like this? Do I think that this series has legs? Do I think that this is great? Do I think this is greatness right now? Like the way it completely was a mindfuck, given that the rest of this series has been so extremely mid for me. It has just been mostly just like a fun time with my friends and a chance to, you know, engage about something that's considered kind of classic in our genre. And it's just like a foundational thing. It's just like good to know about the Wheel of Time. Like, why wouldn't you want to know? It's a pretty big fandom, you know. Before we had everything we have now, our dads, uncles, you know, they were all reading the Wheel of Time. People grew up on the Wheel of Time. It's just like fun to be in the know. But that was basically it. That was the extent of my enjoyment. But now I feel like the thing has merit for merit's sake. And it's like retrospect, I'm enjoying the series that much more because of where Brandon has gotten it to. Then I picked up book 13. Very solid. I should say Gathering Storm, 5 stars. Very good book. Just a great book. Amazing action, amazing emotion, incredible payoff. So good. I'm reading I just finished Towers of Midnight, which is book 13, and I would say still very good, but not as good as Gathering Storm.
Okay.
It had a little bit of Brandon Sanderson pacing meandering happening, where it was like it was interesting, it was good, but it wasn't like it wasn't just like the bombastic, like so much charge to it that I thought. And then I felt like the climax, honestly, it was too long in coming. I wish that Brandon hadn't had to write it, because Robert Jordan should have given it to us 3 books ago. But it's fine. We got it. We got it. We're ready to move on.
You have
I have one
more?
book left.
Oh my gosh.
The final conclusion. I think it's like 1,000 pages. So we'll see. We'll see
you
how it goes.
deserved it. I want to kiss Brandon Sanderson on the mouth for finally giving you what you needed. Like, I'm over here like getting secondhand annoyance every month.
I think you're more frustrated than I am.
Oh, I'm hot and bothered by the Wheel of Time. Guess what series I will never read and don't need to be in the know about? The Wheel of Time.
Listen, okay? I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about it.
Yeah, I'm like, Maddie, just do a spoilery review of all the books until Brandon's, then I'll pick up those ones.
Okay.
Also, I do kind of want to watch the show now because Maddie's been reading it, watching it.
I'm having a good time with the show as like a, what would you call that? Like, not an addendum, but like a companion.
The vibe.
It doesn't really follow the book that closely, but it's kind of like
sidestepping with
giving you the feels.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you deserved this, Maddie. I am very proud of you.
Thank you.
She is never a quitter.
The Gathering Storm was great.
Afraid of nothing.
I am. Literally nothing can intimidate me now. I'm looking at you, Malazan. Nothing. Yeah. There is nothing can intimidate me now that I have read The Wheel of Time. If you can make it through the slog of The Wheel of Time, I pretty much think you can probably bite off just about anything.
Some people run marathons. Some people read The Wheel of Time. Both sound like torture to me, but I am so impressed. I love this for you.
I lied. Dostoevsky does still intimidate me, but I will be reading Crime and Punishment or The Brothers Karamazov.
Do we do a whole episode about books that we're intimidated to read?
It's a short list now because I've made it through The Wheel of Time.
Guys, we had a great reading month in June. It was the variety. We're all happy for Maddie. If everybody could just leave emoji clapping hands as comments for Maddie, I think she deserves it. She deserves it.
Wow, sis. Wow.
So proud of you.
Thank you.
Hope you guys enjoyed this podcast today. We try to give this to you every single month where it's just a long description and review of every book that we read. If you stuck around for this long and you're somewhere where you can rate and review us, please do it. We love when you do that. Yeah. You can also subscribe, leave a comment. Honestly, we're just happy you hung out with us. We like doing what we do.
We really do love those reviews though, guys. We're not going to lie to you. We're working our way up the charts on Apple Podcasts, and those reviews mean an awful lot to us. If you can take 2 minutes to rate and review us, it means the world.
Yeah, I'm going to stop dancing now. You guys have a great day.
You guys have an awesome day. And if you want to check out our merch, It's live. We'll have a link below. And we will see you guys in the next episode.
Bye.
Bye.